Well, we're getting close. Trunktoberfest is almost here. That means trunk or treat out in the parking lot, Oktoberfest in the courtyard. This will be the last year we do these both together at the same time, so we hope that you will participate in each. I know Michelle would love a couple more trunks, so if you're interested in doing a trunk, please talk to Michelle about that. And we hope that you'll also come to Oktoberfest and celebrate on that Reformation Sunday. We'll even have a few special things at worship that day. Now, the first Sunday in November is going to be All Saints Day. That's when we have one service, first Sunday of the month, one service. It'll be English and Japanese. We will be doing a All Saints service. So you'll remember we put up the tables. We have pictures of those who've passed. If you want to bring one of the pictures to have displayed, you'll see notes in our weekly email about that. Following that service, we will have an LCR potluck. Very rarely do we do kind of a traditional potluck. You know, we'll cater food, we'll bring in food, we'll have the fellowship committee cook. So this time you are invited to bring a dish to share, and we will have our All Saints potluck as we give thanks for those who have died in the faith, those who are resting in the promise and presence of God. Now, we're just a couple weeks away from an election that will be local, county, state, and national. And I just want to highlight for you that as we've talked about hardness of heart, the various ways that we find it difficult to live together. Remember, we talked about that in a marriage a couple weeks ago. We talked about it yesterday or last Sunday in another context with Jesus, the rich young man whose life was too clogged up with the love of possessions. But I think politics in the United States is another area that causes spiritual inflammation, that causes some of the similar grief that we saw with the rich young man, that causes difficulty in relationships in the same way that Jesus talked about difficulty in a marriage. So we see marriages, friendships, long-term relationships being affected, being inflamed, even ending over politics. So I want you to think about, you can have your political commitments. I would encourage you to be gentle with one another. Be careful when you share those, especially in the church environment. Some folks feel that that takes away from our religious expression, and not to say that you can't have political opinions at church, but let's think about what unites us here in the gospel community so that we don't have friendships that are broken, friends who are separated, long-term relationships that are no longer possible because of the spiritual inflammation caused by political division that we see in the United States. Of course, our communities are very divided. Of course, we need to have political participation for the sake of our democracy. But when we're at church, we need to remember, what is it that unites us the most? We don't want folks feeling they can't be together because they don't share similar political beliefs with each other. We want folks to say, you know what, even though I believe something different, what unites us here in this church is something more. And that gives us the transcendent community of our congregation and the possibility of being a community of reconciliation and being able to operate through the resilience of friendship so that we can take care of those who need to be cared for. We can have deep connections that will allow our communities to flourish, even in times of disagreement and division. So look forward to seeing you on Sunday. Get ready for Trunktoberfest at the end of the month. Get ready for All Saints Sunday and the potluck that'll follow. And we'll be telling you about some cool things happening in our community if you come to church on Sunday.